I think we're live. Okay, yes, we are live by the look of it. It is 9:01 by my watch, which could be wrong. And Kath hasn't muted her computer. Bad Kath. Okay, so it's Friday evening. It is the 26th of October 2018. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and that lovely lady over there is Kath, who you probably won't see in this stream because she doesn't like being on camera. So this week there's a few news stories, not a lot of groundbreaking stuff happening, although the last couple of days have been a little bit better for news. I've had today, I suppose there's going to be a lot of people who are very tired because they bought the new Red Dead Redemption and it was released last night or this morning, whichever way you want to look at it. So I'd imagine a lot of people have booked the day off to play that and are enjoying it. And from what we can see at the moment, the overall response to it has been pretty positive, and people are actually raving about it. The quality is fantastic, the story is fantastic, the gameplay is fantastic. At the moment, it looks like Rockstar have got a gem on their hands again. So that's good for them. I haven't tried it yet. Not really my kind of thing, but you never know, I might give it a go. What else have we got? News-wise this week, YouTube. Now this is quite a big one if you're watching within the European Union. Now I promise I won't get too political. There's been a lot of Brexit stuff going on at the moment over in the UK, and there's a lot of people angry and there's a lot of people upset, etc, etc. So we're going to try not to go down this route because it does get people quite triggered. But the European Union are actually trying to impose onto Google the responsibility for copyrighted content on their platform. So effectively, at the moment, if somebody uploads copyrighted content onto the YouTube platform, or any platform for that matter, the content creator is liable for any kind of losses or damages or copyright infringement on that content, which is pretty normal and happens in pretty much most walks of life. But I think because the people who are claiming, the big companies, the little companies, etc., they're not getting anywhere, and copyright is not being copyright theft isn't being stamped out. So they've decided to try and take on the bigger boys now. So they're going to try and make YouTube or Google or ABC or whoever you want to call the company, whichever sub-company it is, they actually want the platform to be responsible for the content, which I can kind of agree with in some respects because ultimately it's their platform and they should be policing it. But there comes to a point where platforms get to a certain size where it would be extremely difficult to monitor every single upload and verify it and vet it before it actually went onto the system or onto the platform. Now, for Google especially, there's people like myself, streamers, who are doing things live. So Google or ABC or whatever would need some pretty sophisticated software to try and sort of see if anything is copyrighted within the content. Now it could be just a brief flash of a trailer for a film, or it could be music, for instance, which is slightly easier to sort of detect, but still not an easy thing to do. And to actually put YouTube in charge of it and say, right, it's your responsibility. And the same goes for any of these media platforms. So whether it be Vimeo, YouTube, Floatplane, there's thousands and thousands of others. Again, same thing with, I would imagine, with things like Twitch, Twitter. You've got, what else is there? Well, basically there's loads of platforms, and to make the platforms responsible is going to make it very difficult because the platforms would have to eventually get to a point where they'd either have to create smaller sub-companies and put them in charge and say, right, you have to vet the content from this country or this area or this region or this demographic. And I think it would get really, really messy pretty quickly. Now, what does it mean for people like myself and other sort of hobbyists who enjoy making the odd YouTube video and uploading it? Are we going to be able to still create content and actually get it uploaded in a timely fashion without having to go through a vetting process? I think it's a little bit of it's like the EU are trying to put a bit of a stranglehold on Google, which I can't see it happening. If you want to look it up, if you Google EU Article 13, you can find information about it there. It's been in the news today in a few different outlets, so you can check it out there and see what you think for yourself. Do you think it's a fair thing to do for the platforms or not? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd be interested to hear what your views are on it. Blocking copyrighted content has never been an easy thing to do. Look at Kodi, for instance, which was a legal service, but the add-ons made it into an illegal service. So there's always going to be a way around copyright, and to put one person or one company or whatever in charge of it or responsible for it, I think is gonna kill off creativity, and it's gonna stop people possibly using the service as well, which I think will be a bad thing. I've got a question coming in, I'll get to that in a minute. Other news at the moment now, based around, well, at the moment a lot of countries and governments seem to be going after large companies. Now, Amazon were up against it a couple of weeks ago, where everyone was sort of on the bandwagon trying to hammer them down or to get them to do things differently. At the moment now in Italy, we've got a case which has just been won, where Apple and Samsung have both been successfully sued for slowing down older devices with their newer operating systems. So if you, for instance, installed iOS 12 on an older phone and it's made it slower, that is what they called designed obsolescence. So it's basically, they make the software so that it's difficult to run on your device, so you're more likely to upgrade to a newer device, which in legal terms is not a legal thing you can do. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to pressurize people into upgrades unnecessarily. So the Italian government have actually sued and gone through the courts and actually been successful, and I think Google and Apple both had relatively largish fines. I think it's about 4.5 million for one and about 8 million for the other. So actually quite sizable fines. Now, if you looking at me, I can hear the fans of my graphics card in the background. Now, earlier this week, well, actually, when was it? Yesterday, losing track of days. Yesterday, I did a modification to my graphics card, put in some new fans in the graphics card, as one of them had died on my RX 850, and you can check out the video when I link it up later, which will be up here somewhere, and then you can see what I went through. But basically, I had an RX 580, one of the fans died, so I replaced both the fans with two Arctic cooling fans, and I can hear them ramping up slightly in the background, but I'm not sure if it's the fans or whether it's the CPU. It could be the CPU fan. We'll find out. If the stream goes down, then it's probably one of the fans hasn't worked or it's all gone wrong. Anyway, back to other news. Now, what else was there? This is an interesting one, actually. This directly affects me and may affect some of you as well. iTunes and the iTunes library. Now, I've come across a sort of interesting but also frustrating thing this week. Now, you probably remember, possibly in last week's video, maybe in last week's, or was it the week before, I'm not too sure, where I went from Android and I went and got myself an iPhone. Here it is, ready to be boxed up and sent back to the to Envirophone. Now, the phone came, is a used phone, so I was expecting some sort of marks and signs of use, but it didn't have an iTunes account on it. So it was unlocked, iTunes unlocked, as you would look for in a new phone. But what is a new thing with iTunes is if you share your library, or if you're a member, there's another iTunes thing you can do where you basically pay a bit more and you can put your account or your music or whatever it be, videos, on other registered devices. Now, it would appear that this device has actually been registered on one of those accounts. Now, because it's a second-hand phone and it's come through a third party, they can't trace back the original owner of the phone to say, look, your information is still on here. So whenever I try to put iTunes on here, you can put it on there, but any of my content that I want to download, which I've purchased previously, I cannot download because there's a 90-day waiting limit. So if this phone isn't used on that other person's account for 90 days, it then resets the counter, so then I can download my content on my phone, which to me seems absolutely bizarre that if you signed out of iTunes, it doesn't sign out all those other things. Now, maybe some of you guys who are watching may know a little bit more about this than I do, and maybe you can let me know so I can pass it on to Envirophone so they know what to check for. But it just seems bizarre that if you sign out of iCloud, like the forget my phone or where's my phone app or whatever it is. Find my phone, that's the one. So if you've signed out of all of that, you've removed your iTunes account from the phone, you've done the erase, your factory reset, surely that should be enough to kind of remove any locks or any previous ownership on the device. Which leads me to think, how much information is left on second-hand phones when you do these kind of factory resets? It is a little bit concerning and a little bit worrying, but they have said that they're going to refund me for the phone. I am still waiting. It's been 3 or 4 days. They said they'll send me an email with information on how to return it, which hasn't happened yet, so I'll be phoning them up on Monday to complain and see what's going on there. So at the moment, if you're considering buying a second-hand phone, even though Envirophone in the UK are a seemingly pretty good company, I've had a few phones from them before, do think twice. And if you're going to get an iPhone, do ask the question of them, is it got all the iTunes information removed off it? Whether or not they can check, I don't know, but it may save you some hassle. So that's pretty much most of the news for this week. It's been a pretty quiet week. We've had a few other things which have happened. The RTX 2070 is out, which is kind of older news, which hasn't really been the release that everyone expected. Is still very expensive. The Intel i9 9900K saga still runs on, with benchmarks being all over the place, depending on what motherboard you use and the voltage regulators and all those kinds of things. So at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, although Intel have the world's fastest gaming PC CPU, I think my money is still better off spent with AMD. I don't know what you guys think. Again, let us know in the comments, and we will see what you think. Now let's have a quick look at some of these messages I've got, which are not many at the moment. So if you've got any questions that you want answered, then stick them in there, and later on in the stream I'll get through and I'll do all the Q&A and hopefully answer any questions you may have. So Russian Heart says, just watched your video about the Radeon. How much does the card go for, and how did you manage to pick it up? Sorry for the off topic, just trying to get an RX 580 on my hands somehow. Well, that's a good question actually. The card RX 580s second-hand, generally you'd be looking in the region of anywhere between 200 to as little as probably 150, depending on the condition and the amount of memory on it. If you go for the 4 gig one, you're probably around the 140, 150 mark. The one I had, I actually did a trade-in, a swap for a GTX 970, so I value that at somewhere between 120 and 150 pounds. So due to the fact the fan didn't work, which I kind of knew about anyway, so there's no beef there at all whatsoever. That's absolutely fine. The guy did say one of the fans doesn't work, or doesn't seem to work all the time, so I completely took that with a pinch of salt. That's fine. I said that's all right, I'll make a video out of it. So it's all good. So at the moment, brand new RX 580s. I noticed one on Amazon today. If you get it via Amazon France, which you can still then get it shipped to whichever country you want, it worked out with the exchange rate around about 170 pounds after the conversion, and that was for the 8 gig model. So it looks like the prices are going to start dropping, and coming up soon obviously we've got 11/11, so you get all the deals, 11/11 for China, and then also you've got Black Friday as well. So at the moment there's a massive amount of deals and price drops going to be happening. A lot of manufacturers are trying to clear out their existing stock for the new RX cards for Nvidia, and with the expected Polaris refresh from AMD in either the very last month of the year or early next year, then people are going to be trying to clear those cards. And also now that the crypto mining craze is kind of bottomed out, people are trying to get rid of their cards pretty quickly. And as long as the card's been looked after and it hasn't been too badly abused, I would say a mining card isn't going to be particularly in any more bad condition than someone who's been gaming on it regularly. So take your chances, take your prices, but realistically, if you're looking for an RX 580, anywhere between 150 and 200 pounds. So hopefully that answers your question. Epic Gamer, hello. And hello Tuscany, Sea McKnight's in the house. And avoid the power color cards if you can. Yeah, thanks for that. That is a reference to my power color card, which is in there with a dead fan. And also, power color cards do seem to be quite renowned for having fan failure. So yeah, try and avoid the power color cards if possible. Personally, I can't think. Oh, the Sapphire Nitro series seem to get very, very good reviews. So possibly worth looking out for a Sapphire if you can. But again, any brand really generally are okay. It seems that some of the power color ones do suffer a little bit worse. So yeah, whatever you can get for the money. So what else? This week, what else we had? So I did a review of some Bluetooth headphones or earbuds or whatever you want to call them, which are, well, they're over there, so I'm not going to get them. And they were pretty cool, and they come in a nice little metal container. But I've had these come through as well now. Now this is the TWS i7 from R. Billy, which seems like a strange name for a company, because whenever I think of R. Billy, I think of the 80s and 90s TV show Bread in the UK, where there was a character called Billy, and they were from Liverpool, so it was R. Billy. The people from R. Billy are not going to like this if they hear this. But basically it's a similar principle, if I can actually get out of the box. Now they come in a much smaller case, which I think is pretty cool, and actually that would fit into a pocket or wherever you want to put it for safe storage. You flip them open, and there's a battery inside it which keeps them charged, and if you press the button there's a little LED tells you how much battery is in there. But the actual earbuds themselves, wireless Bluetooth as before, but you put them in this case. Now the problem is with the other case, you put them in and there was a flashing LED, so you kind of knew what was going on, or you knew how much power was in them, but you couldn't be 100% sure what was in them. But with these, we close it, and when you close it shut, I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a glowing ring on them, so it actually shows through the transparent protection bit, so you can see if they're charging or not, which I think is great. Whereas with these ones, kind of once you've closed them away, apart from the bits on the end, you can't really tell if they're charging or not. So if you do need them in an emergency, you don't know 100% if they are going to be charged. They probably will be, but you'd never know for sure. But at least with these, they're flashing away, so you can tell if they're charging or not, which I think is awesome. So that was that. Now, I've lost my chat thing again now. Where's that gone? I've broken it. Ah, there we are. Okay, so next thing, we've got, like I said just now, we've got Black Friday coming up. We've got all these deals. We've got the end of the year. We've obviously got the holiday period and all that sort of thing going on. So, what kind of thing are you guys looking at buying? What is going to be your next big upgrade, or even little upgrade? Because I've got to be honest with you, I've got a little bit of money put to one side, and I have not got a clue what to buy. I've still got the Gigabyte AX370M DS3H board, which I got which was initially a bargain, which is now less of a bargain, but still a bargain nonetheless, kind of thing. And I still don't know what to do with it. It's a lovely little board. It's a micro ATX. So I've been looking for a new micro ATX case. Now, I don't know whether it's because the market's so saturated right now, or because kind of no one's thought of anything new, but I cannot find a decent, nice looking micro ATX case which I like aesthetically as well as having features for less than sort of £50, which is kind of, you don't want to be spending that sort of money on a micro ATX. You might as well get an ATX for that sort of money. So again, let me know in the comments, micro ATX, what would you advise? Now, I was going to go super cheap and go with the CIT F3, which I've actually reviewed before, which again, I'll get Kath to put a link in up here later. Somewhere up there. So you can click on that and check it out. Now that I actually bought for about £20, I think it was, on Amazon. It was a warehouse deal. It was in black and red. It was a really cool little case. Very small, pretty decent airflow, USB 3, card reader built in. It was a little bit on the cheap side. It felt a bit plasticky, but actually, for all intents and purposes, it looked really nice. So I thought about getting another one of those, but I thought, well, I've already been there, done that. I did have the black and red one, so I thought, well, maybe I'll go with the white one, with white, well, sort of black on white, which actually looks a little bit different, and I thought it might even look quite nice stuck behind me. Obviously, won't look quite as nice as that one, but it would look nice, and it gives me something to use with the board. But then that led me to thinking, okay, so if I go cheap, I'm spending £20 on a case, then realistically, what am I going to put actually inside it? So if you're spending a little money like that, with a board like that, you're going to have to go for a cheap processor. So then if I'm going Ryzen Athlon 200G, it's sort of £50. Is that a good thing to do? Should I be spending a little bit more and going for a 2200G, which at the moment you can't get anywhere because pretty much everybody's sold out. It's almost as if AMD are about to release something else, which no one knows about it, because there's just no stock anywhere. Whether it's because Intel aren't selling that stuff anymore, or AMD are just slowing down what's come out on the 14 and 12 nanometer process, but it's, yeah, where are all the processors? The memory prices are so high at the moment, graphics card prices are so high at the moment, you can't tell me everyone's building PCs because they're just not. But there just seems to be a massive shortage of components within the channel, the IT channel that is. It's bizarre. So, I don't know, what do you guys think? Where are all the components? Are the foundries ramping down? Is everything grinding to a halt? Is the whole kind of the EU Brexit thing actually taking its toll worldwide on all manufacturers? So everyone's slowing down, just waiting for something to happen. It's a really, really bizarre situation, I don't know. But anyway, so that takes us on to the RAM. So if we go with that board, go with the CIT case, we then stick in an APU of some sort from AMD, so either the 200G or the 2200G, a push maybe a 2400G, but I think that's probably a little bit too much. Then RAM. RAM is still ridiculously expensive. If you can get it secondhand, great, but that doesn't then really reflect on the rest of the build, which is all new stuff. It's a really difficult thing to do. I cannot get my head around it. Do I go old school, go for like an Intel i5 on an old 1155 board with some DDR3 nice and cheap and do it that way? But then I'm still not using the board. So I am completely stuck for ideas. I really don't know what to do. So please, 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 if you're watching this, let me know in the comments or let me know in the chat. Give me some suggestions on what I should do. It is driving me insane. I've still got the Rio Toro CR500 behind me, which I did have a look to see if that would be okay in there, but it just looks a little bit lost in there. And I don't mind building it cheap, but I want it to look nice as well. So that may not happen, but we'll see. But let me know in the comments what you think. Give me some inspiration. Now, who else have we got in with us tonight? So Glenn's in with us. And what's Seam at Nights? £29 eBuyer. Oh, the GameMax Century. I did have a look at some of the GameMax cases, and yeah, there are some quite nice ones around. And I did go through and look at an absolute ton of cases, but there's nothing that really jumps out. The only one that actually jumps out when I look at it and makes me want to buy it is the damn Cooler Masterbox Lite 3.1. And I don't want to go there again because I've not long sold the last one I had because of the cooling issues. So I don't want to go there again. I kind of do, but I don't, because again, it's a bit boring as well because you guys have already seen it. I've done it. It's been featured in so many videos, and it's like, why get it again just to be disappointed all over again? And for you lot to watch me be disappointed all over again. So we're not going to be going there. So yeah, like I said, give me some comments in the section below. Let me know what you want to see. I want to build something. I really want to put together a system, but something which is interesting, because at the moment, especially on YouTube and other videos, everyone's building Intel i9 9900Ks, Ryzen 2700Xs. It's all that sort of stupidly high expensive stuff, which, yeah, it's okay. If we won the lottery or we had a windfall, then yeah, we probably would build one of those. But for most regular people, and for probably most of the people that are watching this channel, we're all on a budget. We want to get value for money, we want to get some performance, but we want it to look nice. It's not too much to ask, is it? Surely. It can't be. it's got to be easy. Right, so what other things were we going to talk about? So we talked about the RX 580 custom cooler. And actually, I am actually really impressed with that. I don't know whether it's me, because I've done it. You know what it's like when you do something for yourself, you see it differently from other people. So you see the creativity and the sort of style which other people would look at and go, what the F is that? What are you even thinking? But I think it actually looks really cool. It looks quite chunky and quite beefy. And I quite like that as in a graphics card. It looks kind of aggressive. And it runs really well. But we're going to be trying in the next coming week. I've looked at actually from C. McKnight's recommendation about undervolting to try and get the temperatures down even lower. And I have actually, if you watch the video, which again will be linked up here, click on the I button, you can see the whole video. I have actually ordered from AliExpress, again from C. McKnight's recommendation, the tiny little adapter which converts 4-pin PWM, which like on a 120mm fan, to the micro PWM, which is on most graphics cards. So hopefully when that comes in 20 to 40 working days, so hopefully this year, but you never know, might be my New Year's special live stream installing it. That'll be coming through, so then I can have the fan properly regulated by the graphics card, rather than at the moment it's just off the motherboard, so it's kind of all over the place and it's still settling in, so we'll see. Yeah, so I agree with you, Glenn. So much satisfaction in making it work, and a bonus if it's pretty. Exactly. Yeah, and I like it. Can you guys see it in the stream? I don't know if you can see it. I went cross-eyed then. I'll take the side off and I'll try not to drop it. Actually, recommendation: the in-win case. If you do get one, these TG panels are actually really strong because I dropped it and I kicked it and it didn't break. So. I'm very happy about that. So there we go, there's the card. Kath will zoom in a little bit now, she'll probably zoom in on me. Yeah, put your bloody phone down. Oh no, sir. Hey, look at that expertise on the camera there. Come on everybody in the chat, give Kath a F for that. So there we go, there are the two Arctic cooling fans. That's the fans, I'm not sure if they're Bionics, I don't think they are, I think they're the previous ones, but they're the ones that came with the eSport edition cooler, the 333 eSport. So I've taken them off the cooler because I'm not using it at the moment, and I've attached them to there, a little bit of sticky, and a couple of screws so as not to completely destroy the graphics card. But I don't know, what do you think? I think in that case with the black and white, I think it looks actually pretty damn good. What do you think? Let me know. C. McKnight, we only watch for Kath. Thanks, C. McKnight. Well, there, let's see. We'll get the reflection. There she is. There, you can just about see her. Right, let's put that back on before it gets too damn dusty. Oh, what's happened there? The screen just scrolled, oh, the cat's on the keyboard. So what do you think? Do you think it looks good? I like it, I think it's pretty good. So, yeah, what was I saying? I completely lost my track of thought now. It's those fans are driving me mad. It's because I've got that AMD stock cooler on there, which isn't the best, and I've set the fan profile so that it kicks in sooner rather than later, which is probably not a great idea considering it's right behind me and it's streaming. Hey ho. Right, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so we've done that. Oh, another thing I picked up on, I don't know if you guys watch Linus Tech Tips. You may know of him, he's a YouTuber. He's probably one of the more famous YouTubers on the platform. But I'm not casting shade on him at all. Well, I kind of am, but I'm not, because I can understand why he's doing it. but recently he did a review of the iPhone XP or XS or X, whatever letter they decided to put after the damn thing. And he did a review and he didn't particularly like it, and he didn't focus on some of the new features of it, etc, etc. So he actually got quite a lot of flack for that. So this week he actually did a YouTube premiere video, which is basically where you pre-record a video, but then you watch the video at the same time as your viewers for the first time with the chat box open so you can discuss what's going on in it. Now in the video it was 10 things that Apple does better than Android, which immediately kind of triggered me, because saying that a phone does something better than Android is a little bit subjective depending on which side of the fence you're on. But anyway, I digress. So he said one of the best things about the iPhone is the security. Now, one of which being that you can only install apps from the App Store. Which, actually, I'll ask you lot now while you're watching, and if you're watching this in the replay or whatever, let me know in the comments what you think about this, or if you actually think you know the answer to this question. Now, as far as most people are concerned, you cannot install apps on an unrooted iPhone or unjailbroken iPhone without using the App Store. Yes? No? Would you think that is the case? That you can only install apps from the iPhone App Store? iTunes App Store? Okay, no one's answering to that, so I'll tell you the answer. The answer is yes, you can install pretty much anything you want on an iPhone, but you have to allow it permissions. Now there is a thing called, I've written it down, it's called Untrusted Enterprise Developer App. So if you go to a website and there's an app which is made for the iPhone, which doesn't come through the iTunes Store, but it's come from a third-party company. Now we found this out from another application for actually doing timesheets. But basically you try to install it as a kind of like an APK as you would on an Android device, and with very, very little kind of resistance, as long as you give OK the certificate, you can install pretty much anything you want on an iPhone, which kind of surprised me actually, because I always thought you had to root them or jailbreak them or do whatever to install anything else other than what was in the iTunes Store. And it's actually really simple to do, so simple that even Kath managed to do it without my user intervention. So yeah, I was completely floored by that. So when Linus actually turned around in the video and said that one of the best things about the iPhone is the fact that you can't install anything dodgy on it, it's only stuff that you can get from the iTunes app, I'm immediately on there, keyboard warrior mode. I think you'll find Linus, but he never responded, so I don't think he cares. But at the end of the video, he did actually say that he still prefers Android regardless, so yeah, that was pretty much that. Right, what else? So, yeah, I think that is pretty much, oh, the only other thing of news really, Kodi, the clampdown of Kodi. Now that the governments are clamping down, we're starting to see a lot of these kind of other TV platforms springing up. I noticed one this week for the UK TV market, UK TV Play. So if you watch things like on Freeview, like Dave and Deja Vu, and I'm trying to think, Today, and all those kind of daytime TV type channels, you know, on Freeview. If you haven't got a TV or you can't access them, you can actually get an app now and you can download it, which there seems to be apps for everything. There's one called Pluto TV, which is an American one, which claims to have kind of hundreds and hundreds of movies and TV, which is completely 100% legal, which I've had a brief look at. I didn't understand it, so maybe guys, you could check out Pluto TV. You've also got TeaTV, TeaTV.net, which I use frequently, which is I find really good, and is essentially Kodi but without all the pain of updating it. It just does it for you. It's got quite a nice interface and it works really well. But just let me think that the terrestrial TV and cable TV markets, they must be completely on their knees by now, and I don't know if they can recover from it, because it is really expensive. Cable TV and all that stuff is really expensive. And then when you've got to go on top of that and pay subscriptions for things like Netflix or Hulu or whatever it may be, Amazon Prime, for example, it all adds up. And I think that terrestrial TV and cable TV are probably getting to the point where they've had their day. There's so many people with phones, tablets, PCs, etc. I think terrestrial TV is pretty much had its day. What do you guys think? It'd be good for us because we won't have to pay a license fee anymore. We do pay our license fee, don't we? Yeah. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I think I covered up everything that I wanted to speak about this week. The main thing is really, I want to know what I need to build. Let me know in the comments. I need to build a PC. Fingers are like, it's so bad that I even have to modify that graphics card. Help me out, guys, before I have to modify something that I shouldn't modify. So I'm going to be looking out for stuff to buy. If you think of anything, put it in the comments or let me know on the Discord server. We'll do it in there. But if not, I think that's pretty much it for tonight's episode. Oh, Kath's just saying something. What? Oh, Glenn's just finished a Xeon build for £300. I'll stick up some pics on Discord later. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That might give me some inspiration. Yeah, share them on the Facebook group if you want to as well. On the Mikesunboxing, share them everywhere. Plaster it all around there. It's nice to have a bit of input. Yeah, that is pretty much it. So, thanks for those of you that have dropped by to watch. It's a short but sweet one. There's not really a lot that's been happening this week. It's been a very quiet week. Don't know why, but there's some odd stuff going on, it seems. It's very quiet. Not a lot going on technology-wise. Hopefully there's going to be some new exciting products coming out soon so we can start buying stuff, building stuff and doing stuff. Windows is still being very weird after the 1809 update. Mine seems to have settled down now, but I did have terrible problems with Adobe Premiere. That seems to sort itself out now, so hopefully that will get better. But that's pretty much it. If you've got anything else to say it to me in the Discord or leave it in the comments section, and we will see you same time next week, Kath? Next week we will probably be Saturday evening, so next week, Saturday evening, 9 PM, be there or be square. Thanks for watching, catch you all soon.